Hi guys, it is Ava from Fred We See Dead Laughing, and I'm here to talk about my favourite books of 2018. So the first book I want to talk about is actually two books, and that is Daughter of Smoke and Bone and Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor. And 2018 was the first year that I've ever read Laini Taylor, and I'm just so mad that I haven't read her before, because her writing was literally just like nectar to me. It was just amazing. Her writing is just so descriptive and so beautiful, and so like, oh, it's like really feathery, but not feathery in a way that I don't like, because sometimes I don't like super feathery writing, but her writing was just perfect for me, and I just can't explain it. But it's just so magical and so full of beautiful descriptions, and oh, I just love the story. I love this world, and yeah, I cannot wait for the third book I cannot wait to read the third book, which is obviously out already, and then I can finally read Strange the Dreamer, which I've had for ages, but I just haven't wanted to read it until I finish her first trilogy, so I will get to that really, really quickly. The next book I want to talk about is a kind of illustrated book, and that is Bygone, Badass Bride by Mackenzi, and this is just a kind of illustrated edition of just these amazing women who did amazing things in history that people might not know about, and I just really, really enjoyed learning about all these different women. I kind of want a separate novel written about every single woman in this book, because they are all just so amazing, and I feel like so many of them would have so many amazing like fiction books written about them. Like, oh, they would be so great. I just really, really want to do that. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. Would 100% recommend this for people who are looking for really nice illustrated books to read. Love this. Next book I want to talk about is Elmet by Fiona Mozeley. I do not have a copy of this because I got it from the library originally, but I do actually want to get a physical copy and reread it soon, because I just keep thinking about this book. I just keep thinking about how beautiful it was, and how beautiful the relationships in this were between this father and his daughter and his son, this kind of strange relationship they had with nature, this really close relationship they had with nature, the kind of almost gender fluidity that was there with the narrator, who was the son. It was just really beautifully told. Some people really don't like this book and other people love it. I'm obviously on the spectrum that love this book, and yeah, I just find it a really beautiful book. I just keep thinking about how it was written, and yeah, it's just so lovely. I just 100% recommend it. The next book on my list is Orange Horses by Maeve Kelly, which is a book of short stories about Irish women. This one I read during the Irish Readathon last year, and I absolutely loved this book. One of my favourite books of the year, obviously, because it's on this list. I can't find my copy of it somewhere. I have it somewhere on my shelves and I just don't know where it is. But this just tells the story of marginalised Irish women in society, and just the way it's told is just so great. It just really, really gives these women voices, like women from the farming community, women from the travelling community. It is just so good, and it's so beautifully told, and just really, really powerful at times. And yeah, there's some, like, there's stories in this that will make you smile, and there's stories in it that will make you cry. Really, really just touched me, like really, really, like it really did, and really enjoyed it. Really recommend it. The next book I want to talk about was a surprising one that I did not expect to love so much, and that was The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslye Walton. This is a book about a young woman who is born with wings, and no one understands really why she's born with wings, but as we read the book and we find out about her family, like her mother and her mother's mother, we find out there's kind of this kind of theme of magical realism runs in her family, and the way this book is told and the way it brings all these little magics into real life, and how it makes it so accepted and just normal, and how the women of the family, like how they live together and everything that happens with them, and just this family unit is just so interesting. I really, really loved it. I do keep meaning to read Leslye Walton's new book, which came out I think last year. I do really need to pick it up, because her writing in this was so beautiful, and I just loved how the magical realism was done. It was just done so well. I loved this so much. The next book I also had on my favourite audiobooks of the year was The Red Ribbon by Lucy Adlington. This is a book about a young girl who is in Auschwitz concentration camp, and she ends up being employed into this kind of sewing factories that's there, where the prisoners have to use their sewing skills to make beautiful dresses for kind of the officers and the officers' wives and stuff like that. And it's a really kind of just this really gross use of these wonderful skills that these women have, and how badly they are treated, and how some things that are confiscated from the Jewish people, like beautiful clothes and materials and stuff, are used, are torn up and used to create new dresses for these other people. And it's very, very hard to read at times, because obviously it is such a terrible thing to happen to people, but the way it's told is just so beautiful, and I love the way it's told in a way that it feels like you never really get told that it's in Auschwitz. It's like you get the narrator uses, or the character uses a different name for where she is, But after a while you obviously do realise where, like, we would obviously realise where she is from learning about history and stuff like that. But the way it's told, it feels like it could actually happen anywhere. Like, it could be in Ireland, it could be England, it could be in Germany, it could be in Poland, it could be in America. Like, it feels like this what is happening to her, like she could be anywhere in the world, and I just feel like there's a real power in that kind of storytelling, and it's very universal, and it's just such a beautifully told story. I just cannot recommend this story enough. The next book will be on a lot of people's list, and that is Normal People by Sally Rooney. This is a book I read in one sitting on a flight from Dublin to Lisbon in Portugal, so it was a couple of hours, and completely sped through this book, completely got sucked into the relationship between Marianne and Connell, who are the characters in this. I just kind of felt like I have known people like Marianne and Connell my entire life. I felt like the both of them at different points in my life. I just really enjoyed the Irishness of it, the complexities of their relationship. I just loved the way, you know, like how mental health was presented in this. But this book was just so, like, Sally Rooney is just such a powerful writer, and like she's only on like the start of her writing journey, and I just cannot wait to see all the amazing books that she's going to bring out in the next few years, because like she's definitely, like, everyone has already been raving about her, but like she is just someone who's just going to be like racking up all those awards over the next few years. Like, she is a talent, and yeah, I'm really glad to have finally read one of her books, and I will definitely be reading Conversations with Friends very soon this year. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is obviously going to be on a lot of people's 2018 favourites as well. I've seen it on many ones myself that I've watched, but I cannot help but put this on because I was so sucked into this book, because it is just an absolute epic saga. I loved it. I loved reading about Evelyn Hugo's life. I loved reading about how badass she was, how unapologetic she was for who she was and for what she did to get on top. I just think that, like, I think we need more women who aren't sorry for who they are and for what they've had to do, because I feel like in history women have always been made to feel apologetic for whether it's their looks or their beauty or the way they've spoken. Like, in history we have seen women having to do that, and I just really enjoy seeing this character come through and just being her and just being unapologetically her and saying, you know what, I've done bad things, but it's gotten me where I am now. It's gotten me the family I had, and because of that I wouldn't do anything differently, and I just love that. The next book I'm going to talk about is from one of my favourite authors, and that is The Scandal by Fredrik Backman, and obviously this is obviously known also in the US as Beartown, and this book tells the story of this town that is obsessed with hockey, but it's quite a kind of the town isn't doing very well in terms of business. It's losing people, and it needs the hockey team to do well to bring business back into the town, but then something bad happens, and everyone in the town ends up kind of under this scrutiny, and the town is divided, and we learn a lot about people and what people are like when things happen, and when fingers are pointed and people are blamed for things they didn't do, and all this kind of stuff. I love this. I just love Fredrik Backman's writing. I loved seeing in this book how he was able to write a really serious thing, which was sexual assault, but at the same time he was able to bring his kind of humour into it without it being inappropriate, and that's what I'm looking for, inappropriate. I just really enjoy, like, it's just like the skill that he has where he can still bring his style of writing, which is generally quite humorous, into a situation that is very serious, and he can still keep that seriousness but still keep the humour as well, and I just really liked seeing that. I just think the way he shapes characters is just so good, and I just love his characters. I love all his characters so much. I cannot wait to read the second book in this, which is Us Against You. I'm going to read that within the next couple of weeks, and yeah, I just love this book so much. And the last book I want to talk about is From Lukov with Love by Marianna Zapata, which is a romance novel, and I don't have like loads of romance novels on this list, but this one got onto it because it was a very random pick that I bought on my Kindle, because I can't remember who was, I think it might have been Jen from Jen Loves Audiobooks that I've been talking about it. I'm not 100% sure, but I picked it up and I just didn't expect to love it so much. I was so hooked into this story. I was so hooked into this as like a story about two ice skaters who end up having to become a pair together, but they actually hate each other, and it's them working together even though they hate each other, and it's like this enemies to lovers slow burn romance that is just so sizzling and so good, and I was just so in it for this romance to happen, and it just takes so long for it to happen that it's like torture, but torture in the best way possible, and it was just so good. I just really enjoyed it, and I have most of Marianna Zapata's other books now on my Kindle. I haven't read more, but that's what I'm definitely hopefully going to be doing very, very soon. So that's all my favourite books of the year, or the ones that I felt I wanted to put on this list. Like, there were so many other books that I loved. I read a lot of books last year. I read like over 200 books last year, so to have just it narrowed down to 10 is amazing for me. Please let me know your favourite books down below, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye!